Hulk has been a staple tank in the Vanguard roster ever since the release of the game, and with Namor getting some pretty nice buffs recently, Hulk is only getting stronger. My name is Paz, an Eternity player on the competitive ladder, and I'm going to tell you all the things you need to know in order to pop off and carry on Hulk. Before we get started with his abilities, understand that Hulk is a tank with many different ways to play depending on the situation. I'll say it now, Hulk is arguably the hardest character in the game right now. While Hulk doesn't mind getting up close and personal, bullying enemies in the front line with his punches and claps, he can also dive hit scans and supports off of impactful high grounds, forcing them to drop and lose uptime. Depending on what the enemies have will dictate whether you can hard or soft engage given different situations. We will discuss this later in detail in the guide when we talk about different abilities, but just keep this in mind that mental flexibility is key to being the best Hulk player possible. Let's start discussing Hulk's kit with his primary damage options. Up first, we have Hulk's Heavy Blow.
What do you mean by that?
That throws out moderately fast punches, dealing 40 damage per punch. The punches also have a range of 4.5 meters, which is pretty good range all things considered, making it easier to confirm damage, especially when punching around walls. You can also cancel the punches with his clap ability, so let's talk about that one next. Every 8 seconds, Hulk can clap, activating his Gamma Burst ability that shoots out a slow-moving projectile that pierces enemies, dealing 70 damage to whomever it hits. The ability works a lot like Fire Strike from Reinhardt within Overwatch 2 and is used a lot like that too. Early on in fights, the ability can be used to generate ult charge and pressure out isolated targets from range, forcing them to move and give up key positions. The ability can also be used to finish off enemies that are low with a punch clap animation combo, instantly dealing 110 damage to the designated target. It doesn't really boost your damage by an insane amount, but it's an easy tech to pull off and helps you a little bit, so why not do it? Even when using the ability in this way though, it is important that you still try to line up the burst with other enemies when possible. Clapping the entire enemy team while they are lined up and then jumping to a straggler is another play that can be made to create even more value while charging your ultimate. You can also clap while jumping to a target to boost your damage on the drop too, since you'll be able to clap punch them right away. Moving away from his damaging abilities, we also have Hulk's Bubble, the Indestructible guard that oddly enough is quite destructible, and you kind of want it to be. Upon pressing the cooldown, Hulk applies bubbles to all allies in a 5-meter radius around him that blocks all damage until the bubble breaks after taking 100 damage or 200 damage for Hulk's bubble himself. This means the bubble is strong enough to protect against Scarlet Witch ultimates, Magneto ultimates, Iron Man ultimates, you name it. The ability has a duration of 2.5 seconds before it is cleared from the target, and the cooldown itself is 10 seconds. What players don't realize is that when the bubble takes damage, it grants Hulk ultimate charge. The self bubble gives 1 point of ult charge for every 1 damage blocked, and the charge generated for friendlies is 10 times less than that, which is so negligible that you really should never even think about it. And when I say 1 point, I don't mean 1 percentage point, I mean 1 to the innate ultimate cost itself. Now, the bubbles are awesome, don't get me wrong, but if you don't use them at the right time, they can actually be pretty detrimental to your team. The main idea behind how you want to use your bubbles are to either enable your teammates when they are activated or to disable the enemy's advances. When enabling teammates, you want to look for when certain characters are activated, or when they are making the optimal play with their kits and are looking to create value. For example, let's take Hela. When she is activated, she's going to be looking to take an aggressive off angle in the middle of the fight. A play you can make with your bubble is to enable her by jumping to her and giving her a bubble, specifically if the enemy has a Psylocke that is flanking her that Hela doesn't even notice. The bubble is not just going to help her stay alive either though, it's also going to help that Hela pick up a pick on the enemy's Psylocke and then snowball an advantage throughout the rest of the fight. Another play to make with the bubble could include a brawlier character like a Magic or even a Blade now. When your team looks to push into the enemies, you can jump into the middle of your squad and bubble everyone to keep them safe as they are brawling up close and personal. This will keep them alive, generate you all charge, and win you the fight since the enemies will have a much more difficult time burning through some extra health pools. Sometimes though, your bubbles need to be used in a much more defensive manner. Imagine that the enemy has a Black Panther that is absolutely slamming your backline. Instead of tunnel visioning on the enemy supports, you can look to fight closer to your backline, bubble them when the Panther goes in, and then look to jump at him once he is forced out to pick up an elimination with your team. Then you're fighting a 6v5 that is way more advantageous for you. You can also help block enemy key ultimates with your bubbles. Some that come to mind are Doctor Strange, Magneto, Iron Man, and Psylocke. When Strange looks to drop into your backline after flying, a bubble is all that is needed to completely counter his ultimate. The same goes for if a friendly support uses their ultimate. Be ready to block the Magneto ultimate that's coming their way to keep them alive and keep the support going. Iron Man is similar, but not exactly the same. Instead, it's much more consistent to charge a jump, bubble yourself, and then intercept the projectile altogether before the explosion hits your team. Finally, with Psylocke, just like Strange, you can just bubble the whole team. The key mistake you want to avoid with your bubble is using the cooldowns to only bubble yourself all of the time. Sometimes it is worth it to jump a target and invest bubble to confirm a pick, like on a Star-Lord that has ult while your team has no support ultimates online. However, learning how to engage without investing bubble is super important. This is called soft engaging and is something that we're going to discuss in more detail once we understand more about his leap, which we're going to learn about now. Hulk's incredible leap can be charged by holding a jump for 2 seconds, where it will then be released, launching Hulk forward. How fast Hulk goes depends on how long the player holds the jump. At minimum charge, Hulk jumps forward at 19 meters per second, where at max charge, he jumps forward at 25 meters per second, which feels only a little bit faster. When hit with crowd controlling abilities like knockbacks and stuns, the jump charge will actually get taken away, leaving you stranded. So make sure that if you want to get out and back to your team, that you keep in mind enemy cooldowns and dodge things like Invisible Woman pushes and pulls, Magneto knockbacks, hooks, really anything that's going to crowd control you. If Hulk jumps onto a wall, you can press jump again when contact is made to then cling to that wall, kind of like Venom. This can be helpful to set up above certain choke points to drop on enemies as they rotate through, allowing easy access to the enemy backline without them even knowing. If Hulk jumps and makes contact with a flying character like Star-Lord, Iron Man, or Human Torch, he will grab them and take them down with him to the ground. They can dodge this grab if they stay low enough to the ground though, so just keep that in mind. This is actually super useful since you can effectively cancel specific ultimates by wasting precious time and forcing them to shoot at ground level where it is hard to get the most out of their ultimates. Not to mention, you'll probably just be able to take them out from the ground too. It doesn't even have to be a flyer either though. If a target is off the ground by more than normal jump height, you can stun them. So if the enemies are trying to drop off high ground and you can kind of see that, charge up a jump and stun them. Understanding this whole idea is actually going to help you a lot when we go over juggling later. The most important aspect to this ability though is that you can charge the jump while you are doing other things like punching the enemy front line, bubbling your team, or just standing around doing nothing. You absolutely should be charging the jump as often as you possibly can too. The way you should think about jumping depends on the game though. In a matchup where you are playing Hulk with Brawl against an enemy Brawl composition, instead of just using the jump aggressively, jumping in the air when you need healing is far more ideal. This is because in Brawl mirrors, the enemies likely do not have characters that are going to be able to easily take you out of the sky, allowing you to get healing from a safe angle. In a matchup where you are playing Hulk against poke compositions that are taking multiple angles, jumping is almost the exact opposite. Instead of jumping in the air for the most part, jumping is used to soft engage and pressure targets off of angles. Soft engaging looks like when you are playing Hulk and you jump on an angle, but you don't invest any key cooldowns like your bubble or ultimate to stay on that angle and play in a way to prioritize your health over damage. Usually soft engages are used to take attention and pressure targets so they lose key cooldowns that keep them alive. For example, on Hall of the Dahlia, Hellas love to hold on one of two high grounds. A soft engage looks like maybe jumping to this pillar and then punching the Hela or taking her attention while the rest of her team walks up and pressures the front line. Then when the brawl breaks out, you can jump back to your team and then use your bubble to brawl out on the front line. Sometimes the brawl won't happen that quickly though. But on this soft engage, we just forced out Hela's bird and possibly even Luna's clap, meaning Hela is prone to elimination with one more well-timed engagement. Now, since we took a good soft engage earlier, we can hard engage and force a pick. Hard engaging looks like a much more aggressive approach where cooldowns are used to confirm key value, whether it be to eliminate a target or establish control of a power position. Hard engaging is very risky when the enemies have cooldowns to respond to you, which is why understanding how to soft engage is very key. These different types of engagements will be a key teaching point in the Bronze to GM Hulk I am likely streaming right now. So if you are interested in this concept specifically, I urge you to actually check that out more so than really any other guide I've put on this channel. Hulk's difficult. The tech doesn't end there with the leap though. You can also B-hop to traverse the map incredibly quickly. Like guys, It's kind of insane. There's a TikTok I'll link in the description and it's also on screen, but if I'm gonna be completely honest with you guys, if you are all learning Hulk for the very first time, understanding the ideas and the macro behind his kit and your role on the team is much more important than learning this honestly silly little mechanic. Jumping right when you're able to, right when it just barely gets past that red line, will still zip you around the map extremely quickly, and anything more than that is a little bit overkill. Now that we finally understand everything there is to know about his leap, let's cover the last of his normal abilities, Radioactive Lockdown, more commonly known as his Exile. Upon pressing the cooldown, Hulk will shoot a slow-moving projectile that completely stuns enemies in place for 2 seconds. While they are exiled, they cannot take damage, take knockback, anything. It's almost as if they just aren't there. They can't even contest the point or payload, which can be super clutch in niche situations. You can prematurely take a target out of being exiled as Hulk by punching or clapping them, but keep in mind that only Hulk can take someone out of his exile. So sometimes it's actually bad to exile someone, since they will live against otherwise team-wiping ultimates. The exile needs to be used to take specific targets out of the fight that have cooldowns that will lose you the fight if they go through. For example, if the enemy Psylocke has her ultimate, but your supports have nothing to counter it, making it a plan to exile the Psylocke and zone her throughout the fight is essential in order to win you the fight. The same goes for an Iron Man trying to ult your Luna when she is in ult. Exile him before he hits the ult if you don't have bubble, and you are literally carrying the game. Same for Strange, Storm, there's a lot of uses for it. Another situation is if the enemy Strange is trying to TP back. Just B-hop or take short hops to their spawn, hit the Strange with an Exile, and leave. You're carrying the game. The big mistake that I see Hulk players making is they don't think about their exile before they go into every single fight. Most of the time, I see Hulk players trying to rip it and hit a TikTok clip on a flyer instead of actually trying to think about their exile to shut down an enemy ult or cancel a support ult before it goes down to enable the rest of the team. Marvel Rivals is about thinking before you do what you're doing, and Hulk very much lives by that rule. Finally, we have made it to Hulk's ultimate ability, Hulk Smash. Hulk transforms into Monster Hulk for 12 seconds, where he replenishes his health to 1500 and goes crazy mode. 1500 is the same as just doubling his base HP, so when you leave Monster Hulk form, you're going to be left with half the HP that you have in the Monster Hulk form. His punches deal 70 damage and knock enemies back, allowing you to juggle them with precise movements. You can juggle enemies by knocking them up in the air, then having that charged jump already ready to go to jump on them, which is going to bring them back to the ground, stunning them for 2 seconds, where you can just completely just keep doing over and over again. They won't even be able to play the game. The easiest way to pull this off is if you can corner a target into a wall to give them little to no options of movement to escape. It is also far more common for tanks to be getting juggled and taking them out of the fight as opposed to squishies, because you're just going to eliminate them very fast anyways. This is because Hulk's clap now deals 125 damage and he gets a clap every single second, which is absolutely insane. So spam these when you can. You can also combo with a punch clap punch to deal 265 damage incredibly quickly, one-shotting any target with less than 250 HP. This animation combo actually does do a very nice job of boosting your overall damage output. Hulk's Exile goes on a 5-second cooldown now instead of a 15-second cooldown like before, and then also his leap gets charged faster than normal as well. As I said, the ultimate makes him go crazy mode, but it does come at a cost of him not having his bubbles to save his team. While in the ultimate, he also gets access to another ultimate, I know there's a lot to talk about, World Breaker, that allows Hulk to single out a target and beat the sense out of them for 5 seconds straight, dealing minuscule damage, but you are stun locking them for 5 seconds. While he is beating someone up, he's going to receive 30% damage reduction too to keep him alive for longer. The person that you decide to stun lock cannot take damage from any other source but the Hulk himself, but here's the stupid part, they can still get healed. So it's best not to use the ultimate unless you know for sure that with your damage resistance that your team's going to be able to keep you alive, or that you are specifically taking out someone out of the fight that has a key cooldown. Juggling a target like a tank out of the fight is far easier to do, to be honest, and is a lot more consistent too. Just like Exile, this ultimate needs to be used to take a target out of the fight, since their ultimate will win the fight for the enemies otherwise, specifically when you're beating someone up. So for example, if the enemies have a Loki and he is mid copy, jump to him as Monster Hulk and then stun lock him, canceling his ability to rip another support ult ult and win the game. There is an achievement in the game for this interaction for a reason. The devs want you to carry the game this way. Typically, Monster Hulk, that whole ultimate in general, is used to prolong an engagement or to stall a point while also taking one target out of the fight, either through juggling or just beating them up. If you really want to eliminate a support in the backline, you can just ult to take them out and then run back to your team, charging your team's support ultimates. If you're using it to stall, make sure someone else is actually contesting with you while you transform, because you actually don't count as a player until you have control of Hulk as a character. Now, if you die in either normal Hulk form or Monster Hulk form, you'll be transformed into Puny Banner with 250 HP, a blaster, and a dream, god dang it. The blaster does 16 damage a shot and can crit, but guys, don't be playing as Banner form. It's not as OP as it sounds. Your job is to get your ult in this form and turn back into the Hulk as soon as possible. Each body shot generates about 4% to your ult, so a whole clip to the body gets you your Hulk ult. If you are struggling to live, your shift, the Gamma Grenade, deals 40 damage and knocks back anyone that gets hit by it, including you. As a matter of fact, when you hit yourself with the nade, you generate 10% to your ultimate. So make sure you are spamming the nade to get back as fast as you possibly can. I cannot stress this enough. Once you are back in Hulk form, you can throw Wolverine, if you have one on your team, to pretty much just throw him across the map, possibly helping him grab someone and start slashing. Usually Wolverine is banned though, so you don't really get to do this often. It can sometimes get the job done though if the Wolverine is locked in. Namor also has a crazy team up right now with you on Hulk that gives him access to a gamma turret that boosts his damage tenfold. Hulk with Namor is not required. We figured that out when we made the Namor guide, but it is definitely an added bonus that makes divers hate playing the game with this combo. Not only are there infinite turrets on the map, but there are bubbles too. Come on now, man. We recently released the Namor guide, so if you want to send it to your duo to dominate the lobby together with this team up, trust me, it'll be worth your time. But let's now start talking about counters to the Hulk. Now that we understand Hulk's kit in its entirety, what counters him? Starting with the Vanguards, Emma is just the best character in the game right now. She is incredible, and it is very easy for her to build charge off of you. Whenever she crystals you, make sure you jump away to avoid getting cooked. You can also bubble to either counter the initial impact or the damage when the crystal bursts. Groot can be annoying as well, but it is the same idea. Jump whenever he walls you, break them, and then win the fight afterwards. Both of these matchups are honestly skill-based matchups in my opinion, but it is harder for the Hulk since he is a much more difficult character in my opinion. Magneto can also knock you back, which is going to stop your jump charge, but it's not nearly as annoying or crippling as Groot and Emma. As for DPS, those that can farm off of you with consistent pressure are super annoying. The heavy contenders in no particular order are Punisher, Squirrel Girl, Iron Man, Phoenix, and arguably Bucky and Wolverine given the right circumstances. Supports don't really have any direct counters to Hulk other than Invisible Woman, who can pull you back in when you try to leap out. Even if she's late with the pull, she's still gonna take you out, which is really annoying. Rocket can oddly enough melt you if you get too close, but rockets that play optimally are not really going to ever deal damage to you. They're just gonna run away, so you can't hit them. As for who Hulk likes to play with, Wolverine and Namor have the team ups, so they are an obligatory shout out. In season 3, Mag is one of the best to combo with in terms of tanks because he is the only Vanguard that really gets to do what he does and also counters what counters you on Hulk. For DPS, I personally really like Psylocke because she can help me with my dives and then also brawl in main once we find a pick, since she is going to need to farm her cooldowns back anyway. As for supports, Luna is your best bet on Hulk since she can farm her ult super fast with a snowflake on you and support you to go deeper when you want to. Now that we understand Hulk's kit and the people he likes and does not like to have with him in the game, let's apply what we've learned to 3 different VODs. All right, today we're going to be looking at Climate, who we have looked at for, I'm gonna be honest, I'm pretty sure every single tank VOD, maybe not Emma, but I'm pretty sure almost every single other one. And this is by far one of the best VODs we've watched of him. We have Climate, we got Tap, we got Mace, we got Bedtime Story in their team. This is a lobby, boys. And I'm gonna tell you, I just watched this whole thing. Climate kind of cooked. So the big thing I want to say for the first VOD of 3 or 4 that we're gonna look at is just watch how he is moving around the map. He's not really committing to too much of anything until he has bubble. But then, something really cool here. He goes for the Exile, hits it on Luna, but then doesn't really do anything with it, because why would he, you know? He's not gonna kill the Luna Snow here, but he's gonna take her out of the fight. And I think this is something I really struggled with when I was first trying to learn Hulk, was like, I would try to spend too much time doing things that I can't really do anything with. But then the moment that he sees someone on an off angle that he can actually take advantage of and try to kill, he immediately goes for that and commits to it because there's actually something that he can actually get out of this. I could see that if he felt like he wasn't going to be able to get this pick on the Namor here, and that the Namor was going to get healed by the supports, I'm sure he forces bubble and just walks back to his team, which is something that, I mean, not a lot of Hulk players have that like level of split second decisions that Climate has. I mean, this is his main, so this would make sense to me why he's so strong on this character. So now that they have 2 picks now on blue team on red, it's 6v4. Now he can just kind of jump on backline. He feels much more confident because, I mean, the runes were used, clap was used, and now he can get aggressive like he wants to be and use bubble to further amplify his aggressive value forward. I think a lot of Hulk players, they either sit around and do nothing for too long, or they try to do too much too early and they get forced out because of it. But Climate has the perfect mix in a very high level lobby that he's going to get punished for a lot of the time, mind you. He has the perfect like push and pull that you need to really be the best Hulk player that you can be. So let's keep watching him and see what we can learn from his gameplay. All right, y'all, this fight coming up, it might not be the flashiest, but we need to talk about how Hulk fits into the big meta right now, because watching this level of play is like, damn, I wish my teammates in ranked could play rivals like this. So let's start talking about how these VODs or these ult fights are gonna go. Luna ults get traded on both sides. The Phoenix from blue team looks to look for a damage boost onto this Luna Snow, and Climate actually is smart enough to know that he needs to punch the shield off of the enemy Luna ult so that the damage boost can go through on the Phoenix to actually eliminate that Luna ult out of the fight, which is just the first of many interactions that he's going to be looking for here. So bam, that is just, that's some good stuff right there. I wish people knew how to do that in anything less than just top 500 elo, because that is rivals right there. That is good on your feet. Like, that is good plays right there from Climate. The next thing that we're going to see here, though, is look, he's going to accidentally take this whenever he gets knocked over. But now what he's going to look for is to actually stun the magic, because it looks like when the magic is going this deep with an Emma ult, it looks like she's probably going to ult sometime soon, and he needs to make sure that that ult doesn't just kill everyone when they're possessed, which is a 1.5 second possess, I believe, from the Emma ult. The Exile is 2.5 seconds, so this is going to completely counter if the magic has ult. I mean, in my opinion, I thought the magic did have ult because I was watching this without ult charge on. I thought she had it. It looked like she just barely didn't, but that's the play that she's going for, so he's using the Exile before this combo goes off to counter that combo. Great play. Something that most Hulk players, most players in general, don't even think about. But Climate's doing that, which is awesome. But that's not where the value ends. He immediately starts to try to pressure the support. He does get forced out here and starts taking a lot of damage because he's getting, I mean, he's making a lot of value for his team. So what's going to happen is naturally, eventually what will happen once he tries to punch this support again is he's going to start getting focused because he needs to get peeled. But it's okay for him to be this aggressive because he has his ultimate. And now he's 1500 again. He just wasted a bunch of time for the enemies. And now he's going to stun the dude on the off angle, hit the fucking crazy juggle on this guy to send him to the grave and win the fight for his team thereafter, because then he's going to be, oh my God, he's going to be able to juggle the support too. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Everything that Climate did this fight, sure, there were some things he could have slightly done better. Maybe he jumps out of the Namor ult and doesn't get hit by it. Maybe he does this, maybe he does that. Hulk is a really hard character and he's low-key owning right now, so there's a lot we can learn from this. I'm interested to see what else we can take from other fights of his gameplay. Now guys, if I could talk about Hulk all day, I would do it. But I'm not going to bore you guys, and instead we're going to talk about this amazing fight that Climate had to start off second point here, and just looking at all of the macro decisions that he's making. Notice how he's not b-hopping. He's not doing any of this crazy stuff. A lot of what makes him a great Hulk player is his just knowledge, where okay, I'm going to jump to this, I'm going to jump to that, and I'm immediately going to start pressuring the back line. I'm going to take so much pressure off of my team because the Punisher's looking at me, and then because I know runes are going to go down, dude, actually insane. He knows that when he has juggle, he's gonna be able to juggle this, the peel that's gonna happen from these runes. He knows that he's actually gonna use the Hulk ult and juggle this target up out of the runes, which is pretty hard to do, all things considered. I'm gonna be honest. He has to use an Exile for it, but then he's gonna jump up, and dude, if he hits that, does he hit that? I mean, the Luna's gonna kill it, but if he hits that too, like, that is a crazy pick, because then he doesn't have to deal with the Punisher. So the target priority, not the supports. He's going to pressure the Punisher out of this because he has ult. He's going to be actually able to achieve that. Like, he's gonna actually be able to kill the Punisher pretty consistently with a good juggle. He juggles the dude up twice, his team shoots at him. I mean, that's just really good stuff right there. And then he's gonna be able to further the value of this juggle to continue pushing people out of ultimates like this. Loki juggles out of the Luna ult. He can't even TP to a clone or put a clone down. Very well done. And just pressure the supports after the Punisher is dead, because the Punisher's the one that's going to be doing all the damage to him. Exiles the Strange because he thinks that the Strange has ult soon. Very good. The Strange isn't going to be able to turn the fight anymore. Jumps him on him again, takes him out of the fight. Everything that he's doing is super calculated and is something that, from like the outsider's POV, unless you're like a pro player or you talk to pro players like I do, I know that this is what they're thinking about because I've asked them. But this is the type of stuff that he is thinking about to propel his value on Hulk. He's not doing B-hops. The craziest thing that he's doing, honestly, guys, is the juggling with his ultimate, which is still achievable with more practice on the character. Everything he is doing is specifically made to make his life easier, to think about the fight before it even happens. So overall, wow, a great pick on Punisher 2 just before he gets taken out of Hulk form. All of this stuff, super like achievable with a lot of practice, but that is not to diminish the work that he is putting in on this Hulk. So please do just support Climate and all of the links that I'll put in the description. This dude is absolutely crazy. He has shown everyone what it is to be a good tank player. And let's close out the video. And that closes out today's guide for Hulk in Marvel Rivals. If you have any questions, make sure to send them in the comments down below, as well as asking me live right now here on YouTube or on Twitch at twitch.tv/PazSwagger. I stream every single day that I upload, so be sure to check me out to learn more about everything I talked about today. Thank you guys all so much for watching, but until next time, I've got to peace out and Paz out. I'll see you in the next one.